Good evening. Good evening. Come on, after church nappers. Good evening, Deja. So glad to get with you. Ebony, how am I doing? My mic's on. Everything's working. Good evening, Anya. You helped me preach today. Good evening, Leah on Facebook. Diana on Facebook. Kamisha. Put Ebony over here. Ebony, don't hesitate with taking over the wheel, okay? When you see something good, post it. Hi, Demanda. It's a few of y'all on here that I didn't see today, so this is a good thing. This worked out good. What's up? Huntress. Hello, Okita. Good evening, Keisha. R. Cherie. Dominique, good evening. Lily, Misha. Hey, Corindus, good evening, all. How's everyone doing? Pastor D. Tasha Ross, y'all ain't playing. How you doing, Ree? Come on in. Please take a moment and like and share. We're going to get started talking about boundaries. We're going to get started talking about boundaries. I see 22 of us coming in slowly. Everybody said they're doing well. Good for you. Come on in. I want to get started. And I want to do not disturb for an hour. Come on, because I'm ready. I'm good, Ree. Thank you. Please take a moment to like and share, and let's get started. This is good. How y'all doing with boundaries? How's it going? Let me see some of your comments. Let me see some comments. Tell me how you doing. Something like, tell me what you learned from last week. Give me your takeaways. So says Corinda's. I get it. Like any other new habit, you got to keep working it until it's in place and it literally becomes invisible but automatic. Crystal, you doing well? Really? Okay. It's a work in progress, Destiny. I agree. Good evening, Lisa. Hey, Reverend Daniel Woodard. Good to see you. Hi, Brittany. Deja Dillon says, boundaries, OMG. I need more help. Well, that's why we're here, honey. We got you. Dolores Davis says, the ones I have set are definitely being tested. Yeah, I'm pretty positive that's how it goes because they are not used to you drawing the line, the proverbial line in the sand. That's what you're doing. Corinda said, I had a few outbursts telling people what I wanted done. Yep, that doesn't work either, but that's all right. It's all part of the journey, part of the process. Yes, please like and share. Please help us out. I see 7 comments coming in, but 28 are on. Just take a moment and hit the little thumbs up or give me a little heart, please. I appreciate it. Good evening, Diamond. I want to get started. So let me do this while we're waiting for everyone to kind of get it together here. Let's do a quick recap. Let's do a quick refresher. And maybe I'll use one of my examples here. And then we'll just kind of move on from there. Good evening, Danielle. Crystal said she had to put herself on a boundary. Okay, I'd like to hear more about that. So we do hear a lot about boundaries lately, thank God, People are getting more into personal development and understanding that boundaries is a conversation in any discussion with a mental health professional, especially when you're on a healing journey from anything, when you're healing from anything, but especially for those who suffer with the codependent mindset, the codependent behaviors. I think we might talk about that a little bit tonight, but we're definitely going to talk about abandonment. A lot of us suffer with boundaries because we suffer with abandonment. Does abandonment sound familiar to anyone? Do you feel that in your heart when I say it? Abandonment. And typically, people who do not have the invisible fence up of boundaries, they become vulnerable. You know, it's like, let's think of the old monarchy times when they didn't have the stronghold around their village. They didn't have the wall around their city. They became very vulnerable to intruders, people who would come in and steal the women and children. They would steal, you know, all of the possessions, and they would take ownership of it because they were vulnerable, because either there was no one in the watchtower or they didn't have a stronghold around what was valuable to them. Well, you are what's valuable to you, and it is important for you to have a stronghold around yourself. And when you don't, you become more attractive to toxic relationships, especially emotional, narcissistic abusers. I oftentimes have people ask me, you know, why do I keep attracting the same kind of person? Boundaries. Because there's two types of people when it comes to boundaries that you're going to attract. You're going to attract people who appreciate your boundaries and have a clear understanding of who you are, what you will stand for, and what you will not. Or you're going to attract people who love the fact that you don't have boundaries and they can walk all over you, up you, and through you anytime they feel like it. Yeah, abandonment is a huge one because oftentimes we think someone had to physically leave us. Abandonment can be perceived. Abandonment could actually happen through a physical leaving, but of no part, no intention of the person who left you. They could have died or have gone to the military or gone to jail. You know, they could have anything like that. Relationship ended and they had to go. But it's still abandonment. It doesn't mean that they intentionally dropped you, but it's still abandonment. So we have to be very cautious and make a priority this month. Let April be Boundaries Month. We have to be very intentional about placing those boundaries around ourselves, around our lives. Because when there's no boundaries, you are attracting people that you are vulnerable to. You become prey to them, prey, especially in regards to love relationships. No boundaries equal toxic relationships at a higher level. So again, just doing a recap, boundaries are invisible lines that we draw to demarcate the type of behaviors we refuse to accept from others. That's what a boundary is. It's supposed to be the line that we draw for ourselves that say, this behavior I refuse to accept. So when you do this, I'm out. When you do this, you will not get a proper response from me. When you do this, it's over. When I'm dating someone and they do this, it's a sign for me and I'm gone. It's your boundary. It's your line drawn to show this is the type of behavior I refuse to accept. But understand that it is you mainly that breaks your boundaries, because in treating people and teaching people how to treat you, if your boundaries are invisible to you, more than likely your boundaries are invisible to everyone else. What am I saying? If you allow some disrespectful behavior to yourself and you chalk it up because they don't know any better, or because I love them, so I'm going to give them grace. So I'm really attracted to this one, or he or she has all the check boxes. They have all the check marks, and I'm just going to. When you start doing things like that, when you start compromising, that's when people realize you don't have boundaries. There's no self-respect, and there's definitely not much self-control. So what we're going to do here is we're going to give you the boundaries that we want you to have in your life. People look for boundaries, believe it or not. So, in fact, let's go to another level of boundaries. Boundaries are a much more subtle thing to understand, because not all boundary violations are something people do. I've been giving you examples of things people do, but there are violations to boundaries by things that they do not do, especially us, things we do not do. A boundary can be violated when someone said they're going to do something and they do not do it. They do not show up. They do not keep their word. They understand that this is a sensitive issue for you. We were talking about abandonment. They understand that abandonment is a sensitive issue for you. And you explain this from the beginning. Look, don't get shady with me. It makes me uncomfortable. It triggers my abandonment issues, and I'm getting help on them. I'm not staying this way. I'm getting help on them. And they understand that when you tell them. But let your boundaries be invisible, not your explanation of your boundary. And when I say explanation of your boundary, I don't mean to keep explaining to people over and over again what your boundaries. I done told you what my boundaries are. You heard it, you seen it. Because remember, a boundary does not have to be defended. Think of it again as that stronghold protecting the cities. When a boundary is in place, you don't defend it. You don't argue for it. You don't have to keep reminding people. I keep reminding you. It's been 3 years and I've been telling you about this. What are we doing? Is the boundary there or not? Let the boundary do the work. The problem is we are not accountable to ourselves. We keep tolerating the foolishness. And I've learned in regards to male-female relationships that most men determine what you tolerate in the dating season is the boundary level for what you're going to tolerate in the marriage life. Let me say that again. What you tolerate in the dating season determines your marriage life. Do not wait until you get married. Come on and tag your single friends. Do not wait until you get married to say, look, I put up with this for 5 years. I'm not putting up with it anymore. Well, why not? You've been dealing with it. Now you want to change? And that's literally what goes on in relationships. And I hear it over and over again in couples counseling from the males that they put up with this for 5 years and now she's trying to change me. She want to change me. No, what she did was not reinforce a boundary when y'all were dating. And to you, if it was acceptable in dating, why are you bugging about it now? Why are you stressing about it now? To the woman, it's like, no, I tolerate it during dating to show you how understanding I am, how much I'm willing to give lenience to, because I love you. But you're going to stop doing this, right? Especially when you ask to marry me. When you ask to marry me as a woman, it means that you see how much I love you. You see how much I've supported you. You see how much maybe I tolerated, or a kinder word is you see that that I showed you how much I loved you by ignoring all my boundaries. So you're going to do right when we get married, right? And that's not the way it goes. Thank you, Noemi. It's not the way it goes. And I promise you, there has not been a session in marriage counseling where the husband hasn't said she accepted this 13 years of dating, and in 3 years of marriage, that couple is in trouble. They dated well for 13 years. Not saying it wasn't toxic the whole time, but they were at a very agreeable altitude in the relationship. But when they get married, now she wants to lay the law down. Now she wants to put the boundaries in place. And he's like, no, no, no. I married you because you tolerated me not coming home at night. I married you because you tolerated me not working then. I married you because you were the one who forgave all my indiscretions, all my affairs, my lack of accountability, my lack of authority, my lack of meeting you halfway at least. The boundaries that should have been in place during dating that would have supported the relationship in marriage were not reinforced. And oftentimes, us females, women, we expect them to line up in marriage because we became a bridge for them to walk back and forth across in dating because we're not purposely maybe trying to impress them, but we're trying to let you know that, we're strong and we're loving and we're very forgiving. And, because you're my man, I got you. But then when the ring comes on, you should have stopped this already. And he's like, no, I married you because you tolerated it. It was easy. I didn't have to change. If they only told us then, can somebody say if they only told us then? If they only told us then. I'm going to repeat it again because I think I fell in love with that line right there. What you tolerate in the season of dating is going to be in your married life. Come on, there you go, Kamisha. What you tolerate. Come on, post this on y'all pages. What you tolerate in the dating season determines what you accept in the marriage life. You see how we went from season to life? Now we got a lifetime of work to do from a season that we didn't stand in our boundaries. I'm going to be honest. A few of us probably were raised by women who never had boundaries in place themselves. See, our children, I believe, our children are going to be stronger and wiser and healthier and have a greater level of personal development because we had to learn from the mistakes of the women who had nothing in place. And we probably got half or prayerfully 3/4 of things in place that we should. So our children are learning from better role models than what we had. Not an excuse, but to explain why it's hard, why you attract toxicity, why there's always some kind of drama. Many people convince themselves that protecting their boundaries means putting up some sort of barrier, some sort of fight, some sort of defense, being cold, locking people out, sort of like an armor to guard and protect yourself. But that's the purpose of the boundary. If the boundary is in place, fall back, baby. Fall back. The boundary's there. The problem is I have to put in the work for my boundary. I was talking to a young lady today, specifically my niece, and she was saying, this is hard work. I said, it is, but a heartbreak is hard work. Bouncing back from heartache is hard work. Allowing people to walk over you over and over again is hard work. Hiding your authentic self because you've practiced through learned behavior, being who everybody else in the world wanted you to be, is hard work. Recovery is hard work. Improving your life, that should not be hard work. We know it is, but those should not be something that we say when you're on your journey of personal development. Yeah, hiding your authentic self is hard work. We don't realize it because we've been someone else for a long time. And some people never get to meet their authentic self in life. And they don't realize it. Isn't that unbelievable? It's unbelievable. Well, let's keep going. A violation of one of our boundaries is simply a suppression of what you feel. Put down boundary 1. We're going to name a couple boundaries tonight. One boundary, personal boundary, that we ourselves violated. We're not attacking anyone else. We're not holding anyone else responsible for it. It is me. One boundary that we simply suppress is when we suppress what we feel. How do you feel? I'm fine. Are you cold? No. That used to be me. Freezing. Are you cold? No, it's okay. Do you like this? Yes, I like this. Would you order it again? That's how I learned to trick people up now. Would you order it again? Mm-mm. You don't like it. Suppression of what we feel. How do you feel? I'm okay. Because we had to be okay, but we're not okay. And this generation has a statement that says it's okay to not be okay. Hey, Shakira, suppressing how we feel is a violation of your most precious boundary, because boundaries are feelings and emotions. That's it. That's it. That's what your boundaries are. Feelings and emotions. It's everything we feel physically, emotionally, and intellectually. That's a boundary. You violated me emotionally. You violated by intimidating me intellectually. And you violated me physically. And when we suppress that, we are violating a boundary. Do you know how unhealthy that is to our inner self, to our core self, to our soul, the seat of who we are? When we have been taught or made to suppress our feelings and our emotions of how we feel physically, we laugh at it now. Thank God we survived, but keep crying. I'm going to give you something to cry for. We had to violate a physical boundary. Our physical boundaries are violated right in the household of the people who were responsible to love us and protect us and hear us out and smile when we walk into a room and encourage us when we fall off our bike and help us to turn that D to a C and that C to a B and tell us how great we are. We were violated right before we even got out of the house. Another way we talked about last week, if you feel the desire to do something, that's a boundary. Feelings, remember, and emotions, that's what boundaries are. And it includes physical, emotional, or intellectual. So when you desire to do something, well, I always wanted to go to Niagara Falls. But I just never went. I don't know. You just never felt that you were worth going. Or sometimes we say, I just couldn't find anyone to go with me. Go alone. Go it alone. Do it alone. Go with a senior citizen group. I don't care if you're in your 20s or 30s. It's safe. You need a safe place. It's a safe place. Go with a singles group. Senior citizens like to turn up, so I would have a good time with them. But I'm a little different. So if you desire to do something, that's a boundary. And in respecting the limit, you need to respect that desire by satisfying it. Now, we're dealing with a healthy mindset. Okay, y'all? I don't have to, break it down a little further that if it's unhealthy or toxic, let's be mature tonight. The moment you go against the desire of something that you know to do or want to do, you are not respecting it. That's violating your boundary. It kind of reminds me just now of Apostle Paul in the scriptures where he said, the good I know I ought to do, I find myself not doing. And the things that I ought not to do is what I find myself doing. He was actually, God, I feel a book coming on. He was actually violating and waging wars, of course, with a law on the inside of him, but it was a boundary. This is good. Are y'all getting something? Now, mind you, all that I've talked about this far, I never said that she violated you or he violated you. I said you are the one breaching it. And it's not a coincidence. In fact, the first and possibly most important thing to understand about limits, aka boundaries, is that we are the ones not respecting them. People learned from you how not to respect you. Whew. Can we breathe? That was heavy. Hey, Marissa. Come on, that was heavy. You mean they keep doing this to me because they learned it from me? Yeah. What you call forgiveness, they call vulnerable. What you call being nice and giving someone a second and third chance because you love them and you want them to see how deep is your love, to them, you're easily to be preyed upon. You have to respect your boundaries. And in respecting your boundaries, you respect yourself. And people often say, why do I do this? I've been doing this for years and I've been trying to work on this. And I've been working with you, Apostle. I even have a therapist. Why do I keep doing this? Because I'm going to tell you, we're social beings. What that means is social beings use external objects, things like people, things like situations, and they use them to violate their boundaries. They make excuses. They give way to these external objects to validate them violating their own boundaries. Let that concept, let it sink in. Because it can change your life if you can understand it fully. It's not other people violating my boundaries. It's me. Can we do that together? Can y'all breathe for a moment? Whew, because it's like, I want to be perfect. I want to get this right. Oh my God, I got to get these boundaries in place. I'm tired of my life like that. Calm down, relax. I feel you coming through the airwaves. Let's breathe in our nose for a moment. No yoga, no namaste. Holy Spirit in, Holy Spirit out. Come on. God breathed the breath of life into humankind and we became living souls. So we operate psychologically now. We have a psyche. We know good and evil, good and bad. We know yes and no. And let's say that again. And say it with me. Are y'all ready? 3, 2, 1. It's not other people violating my boundaries. It's me. That's powerful. Powerful. You just rebuked years of trauma off your life. Let's see. I want to give an example tonight. We're doing really good on time. Thank you, Lord. Let's give you an example tonight. So let's pretend a woman is in a relationship and her partner promised her that once this big thing at work or church is done, that they're going to go to dinner. It's going to be me and you. I'm going to celebrate you because you are always there for me when I'm at work. You're always there for me when I've got to do extra projects at church, when I have to be the last in, the first to arrive, when I have to run back in sometime. You've been so good to me so that I can do the things I enjoy, like my career or my business or my ministry. So when this big project is done, once the anniversary committee is all wrapped up, when it's done, we're going to go to dinner together. But unfortunately, when your partner comes back home, he's extremely tired. Wouldn't you expect that? So she asked, now listen to these examples so you can get the picture in your mind. She asked him, are you ready to go to dinner? And he answers, no, I don't feel like it. I'm too tired. I really worked too much. Now, some of us could probably tell what was going to happen anyway, right? I mean, someone made a promise while they were feeling good. We call it good intentions. Can I borrow this money from you? I'm really in trouble. If I don't pay my rent or my mortgage on time, oh my God, I'm going to be kicked out and then I'm going to have nowhere to go. And you're like, look, I can give you the money. I just need it back in 15 days so I can pay my mortgage. You're like, I promise you that I would do it. Good intentions. They truly meant it. I believe they truly meant it at the time. But after they have satisfied that need that is within them, you are no longer a priority to them. We can kind of tell how this story is going to go. If someone's been working really hard at something and you're waiting for your moment to be appreciated or loved by them, you probably should give it some time. However, let's find out what's one way not to operate. So she asked him, are you ready to go to dinner? And he answers, no, I don't feel like it. I'm too tired. I really worked too much. Now let us both pay attention to the unhealthy and healthy reactions. Unhealthy reactions of protecting one's own boundary. Let's go. Unhealthy reaction of protecting one's own boundary. The woman is offended and gets angry. Who is that? Who is the woman who is offended and gets angry? That right there is an unhealthy reaction to protecting your own boundary. She yells, "You always do this to me. You make promises and you never keep them. I can't take this anymore." So now, guess what happens? He is annoyed and he also starts complaining and he also starts name calling and he also starts yelling. "Can't you see how tired I am, woman? Can't you see I really don't feel like going out? You are so selfish." Unhealthy reinforcement to your boundaries. That's the boundary violator's response. But remember, you are the first violator. Being called selfish makes her even more upset. She's the one responsible for her boundary. So being called selfish by him is a trigger. It makes her even more upset because she knows how patient she's been with him, how she's been the last on his list of priorities, not to him, but to her. And now you're calling me selfish? And the situation gets worse with more shouting, more accusations. In the end, they are both tired and nothing gets resolved. So she just taught him that after fighting and arguing, I give up on my boundaries. So what do you think is going to happen the next time? She's going to wake up in the morning, and one morning, not that next particular morning, she's going to say to him, "Can we go to dinner again?" He's going to say, "Yeah, I just got to finish this one thing, baby. And when I finish this one thing, it's going to be me and you, girl." And she's going to probably hear that 15,000 more times over the next 15 years because she taught him after a little fight, some accusations, and some yelling, I violate my own boundary. Being called selfish on top of it made her more upset. Now, let me give you the healthy reaction of protecting your boundary. Do y'all get it? Let me see in the comments if you get it. There's 44 of you on. Yeah, then we end up name calling and we're totally away from the fact that I'm arguing when my boundary has been violated. Stop allowing it to be violated. So let's go. Let's talk about a healthy reaction to protecting her boundary. She says, "You promised we were going to dinner together after this project was finished. Why did you change the plan?" He says, "Look, I know I made you a promise, but I really do not feel like going out. I am exhausted and I just need to sleep." She answers, "But you promised we would go to dinner together once you completed this project. If you were not sure you were going to keep your promise, you should have told me sooner." He answers, now it doesn't mean there's not tone here. They could be fussing still, but there's no need to because there's a boundary in place. He answers, "But I cannot always know all the details and know the future. Unfortunately, I did not foresee that I was going to be tired, definitely not this tired, and I do not feel like going out for dinner." Healthy response. She replies, "All right, I can understand you're tired, but if you make another promise you cannot keep, then our relationship will change because I do not want to wait again for nothing." I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let that rest on us. Did you hear how she reminded him of her boundary? She said, okay, she felt like it was the right thing to do. I'm going to give you that. I can understand you're tired. You look it, and I knew you were. I don't know why I was just being bratty tonight and pushing it. I knew you was going to be tired. I can understand it. But If you make another promise you cannot keep, then our relationship will change because I do not want to wait again for nothing. She felt as though she waited for nothing. He could have told her a while ago, this ain't going to happen tonight, baby, and I don't want to let you down. At this point, if he is a good person, he will apologize and say, okay, I'm sorry. And then someone here listening might say, well, what if he doesn't say that? Then he's not a good person. The boundary worked. It revealed him. Loose him and let him go. Don't get married to that. He will say, I apologize and I'm sorry. Next time I will be more careful before making any promises, and I'll make sure that I can keep them. So he's going to be careful now about making promises because he realized she has a boundary up. But when you argue and fight and you go to bed and nothing's resolved and you wake up tomorrow and you go on until it's violated again and then you flip out again, you are literally teaching people how to treat you. And the treatment from this scenario is argue and fight and fuss with me, trigger me with name calling, shut me down emotionally, we'll go to sleep, separate rooms, same bed, but emotionally separate. And then it blows over and then we keep going until the next boundary violation happens again. That's not the way to do it. That's toxic. That's becoming a toxic cycle of boundary breaching and showing people that it's okay to do this to me because I'm doing it to myself first. Now, let me make a little star here, an addendum, okay? If he is a narcissist and you're trying to rule out if someone you're dating is a narcissist or possibly worse, a psychopath, he will not respect your request. If he's not respecting that request and he's upset, it's too much for him, you are always the one determining the promises. You are. Why have you given him all these times to get it right? You didn't marry a child, or vice versa, sir. Why are you giving her so many chances to get it right? You didn't date a child. You're not dating a child. You're not marrying a child. No one needs that much reinforcing, but someone who's still being developed. Do not marry and make toxic boundary violations that the dating season is set in place to reveal, and you go ahead and turn and make it a married life. And then you put a ring on it. Let me just go ahead and seal how you can treat me now because I allowed it the whole time. I want these examples to be of some help to you to understand what it means to respect your own boundaries, to help you understand that you first must respect your limits. And in doing so, you also respect what you are feeling. And that's what's most important. And not externalizing what you are feeling by attacking, defensively defending the other person and trying to change them. See, that's where we get in trouble. We get in trouble because we're fighting with people because we're literally fighting to change them. That's why men often say, and there's been women too, the majority has been men that has often said, she's trying to change me. And you're like, I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to show you how you got to treat me, how you're going to respect me. Baby, you waited too long to do this. So to him, and psychologically now, you literally are trying to change him. You're arguing because you're trying to change him. She argued with him when he violated her boundary. So she's trying to argue and defend now so that he doesn't keep violating the boundary. She's trying to change what's being revealed to her, who he really is. Are y'all hearing me tonight? Come on, Latrice. That's what we're doing. It's not our intent, but it's literally what we are doing. We are fighting and arguing because think of it in a courtroom. We're defending something that we believe in and we want to win. And the only way to win is to definitively fight to change the minds of the other people. You don't want to change someone you're dating with. You want them to be revealed because the dating season is there in place to reveal to you what could become cemented in a marriage life. Come on, y'all tagging y'all single friends. The dating season is a boundary Statistics are saying that the longest length of a marriage in this generation that we're in is 36 months. Marriages are lasting 36 months. 36 months, people, is dating. It's not a marriage. And if you determined the red flags, their true personality in the dating season, you wouldn't have married what you had married, but you thought you could change it. So now you're married and you're arguing to change minds. And this is the hard part, women, especially because what you may be trying to teach them or show them or get them to change is a positive change. But you waited too long to find out that that change is impossible for them. You had a dating window. You violated the boundary of what dating is purposed for, and you went ahead and married issues and made it a married life. Season or life? Season or life? We going in tonight, huh? Do y'all feel this? But I want you to understand, if you feel violated, and to feel violated, what does it mean to feel violated? It's a negative feeling. You know, when you're violated, it's a negative feeling. It's discomfort. Children know when they're little, when they have been violated. It's a negative feeling. It's a discomfort. I want you to know that no matter how hard any of your life situations can be, you can always move forward. Say it. I can always move forward. The road is long, but the path of self-love is the right one, because it is important to love yourself. Now, I want to challenge y'all with some soul work tonight. I'm going to give you some work. If you want to do it, it's up to you. Totally up to you. This is for your good, not mine. So I'm going to drop it and you do it if it suits you. Regarding your boundary work, I want you to write down what you really need in a relationship, because if you don't know before the relationship what you need, you don't have no boundaries in place. Y'all hearing me? Write down what you really need in a relationship. I need what? Someone to keep their word. I need, maybe first what I need is to learn what I want so that I can make sure that I get what I want from my relationships. I want you to think what is good in compromising inside of a relationship. What comes out of compromising consistently in a relationship? And I bet you some of us got it right in our mind right there. It's all good for the other person. I want you to take this one down. And if you do one out of the three, you are doing a fair step in your personal development. But at least do something for yourself. Get a notebook out. Keep it for when we come on lives like this. I want you to write down a list of limits that you need to establish to take care of yourself. I want someone to write this down so we can post it on the screen. Write down a list of limits that you need to establish in order to take care of yourself. Yes, you will, Marissa. It's on YouTube now, and it will be on there until the days. Write down a list of limits that you need to establish in order to take care of yourself. Remember, limits are boundaries. That's good. Thank you. It's up there now. Perfect. Really try to do this one for me. And then I think this is another good piece to give you in your journaling to do. I want you to write down who are the people with whom you can start placing boundaries with. Go ahead, Lisa. Good job, Lisa Logan. Good job, Jerry Towns. Thank you, Elitza. Who are the people with whom you can start placing boundaries? And when you start fighting and arguing with these people and giving them the cold shoulder, remind yourself, hear my little voice. That's not a boundary. You're still fighting for it. You're still defending something. You're still arguing for something. You're still dealing with abandonment issues. Stop it. Set the boundary in place and keep it there. Ooh, let me give you this one too. And then I want to move on to the section on abandonment so we can learn a little bit. Why do I keep giving in or abandoning my own boundaries? I want to talk about abandonment issues before we wrap up the night. But this is another piece of homework, soul work I want to give you. Y'all ready? Make a list of people who do not respect your boundaries. Make a list of people who do not respect your boundaries. And then you can book a session sometime if you feel, and we can discuss how to put some strategies in place so that you stop violating them yourself. Okay? Let me move up here a little bit, jump this gun a little bit. I want to really hit this tonight. All right. So why do I keep violating my boundaries? Why do I keep violating my boundaries? When I'm with people who have boundaries, it's so good and it feels good. I can feel that it's actually a healthy thing to do. I know that this is the right thing to do, but yet I find myself after 3 people or 3 days or 3 weeks, I find myself back at it again. I'm disrespecting my own boundaries. Why do I do it? I want someone to say for me, abandonment syndrome. Abandonment syndrome. Abandonment syndrome is linked to not having clear boundaries, not respecting boundaries, and excessive worrying. Yes. Abandonment syndrome is linked to not having boundaries or not having clearly defined boundaries and excessive worrying. How do these all connect? Because with excessive worrying, we worry about people abandoning us, especially those closest to us. So we are afraid to reinforce boundaries. And in most cases, we don't feel we deserve to put boundaries in place because they're going to leave me if I tell them that this is a boundary. This is my limit. This is where my cutoff time is. If I tell people really what I like and what I don't like, they may abandon me. Where does this come from? Where does this mindset come from? Let me indulge you for a moment. This fear comes from thoughts and concerns about the abandonment from that person we care about and can be caused by inadequate physical and mental childhood care. Did y'all hear me? It's a fear. Abandonment syndrome is a fear, and it comes from our thoughts. And it got in our head because someone we cared about gave us inadequate physical and mental childhood care. It goes back to childhood. If you had a parent who abandoned the family when you were younger, of course it hits the entire family hard and it risks the stability of the house. But what it did to you, perhaps as a child, is it made it hard for you to trust adults and normally trust in yourself. And take this special note, if you have a trust issue with yourself, you're going to struggle with believing your own judgments. So boundaries is something way offline for you. You and I need to first work on this abandonment. Get rid of this fear. Teach you how to self-soothe now. Mommy's gone. You're 80 years old now. You got to get over these childhood issues, and you should have become your own parent shortly after mama left or daddy left, and you didn't do it. So we got to get this work done now. So we have to teach you how to become a parent of your own self, because that's what leaving the nest really is about. It's everything you learned and took away from your childhood that you must now be responsible of doing to yourself. Therein lies the problem, because if what was given to you, what was done to you was inadequate, you are not only going to have trust issues, abandonment issues, fear issues, you're not going to trust your own judgments. And when you don't trust your own judgments, you are in trouble in life. It can make it hard for you to trust adults, trust yourself, and it will make the child question who will be the next person to leave them. If you are unable to create a trusting relationship with someone, how do you know they're not going to leave you? But you never give yourself the chance to create a trusting relationship. And this realization will make you feel incapable of loving because you live with the fear of being abandoned and you living the fear of living the rest of your life alone. So I better not let them know that I really don't like this, or I really don't want to go here, or I do not like when they do this, but I let them do it because I don't put boundaries in place, because if I put a boundary in place, they're going to abandon me. Many people grow up with this type of fear and let it influence every aspect of their life. They worry about being rejected by peers, by partners, and in general, most of their social circles. For others, these fears do not make themselves known until they enter a romantic relationship. Did y'all hear that? That's true stuff. You're going through life and you're fine. You know, the law says they hit a little bit, ting, ting, ting. You know, your armor takes some tings. But the real hit comes when you've invested intimacy, especially for a woman, because we give our soul in sex. And when you've invested your soul into another individual and it doesn't work out well, the romantic relationship is the place to do it. This fear of being alone is an understandable one, because who wants to come home to an empty home after work or church? Sunday's agony, the feeling of being excluded during the holidays. We all know the pain that loneliness can cause. Less known is the high price we have to pay when we are in the opposite situation. The fear of abandonment is the cause of a lot of unhealthy relationships. So now we never got any help with our fear of abandonment, and we entered into a relationship or relationship after relationship after relationship. And it's causing a lot of problems. And you could be triggering the other individual, and that's why your relationships break, because you have a fear of abandonment, but you actually caused the abandonment. The fear of abandonment is the cause of a lot of unhealthy relationships, psychological roots that have been interrupted with unexpressed feelings. It is one of the factors that contribute to most human suffering. And it is the root of the unhappiest decision of our lives. Did y'all hear that? The fear of abandonment is the root, R-O-O-T, of the unhappiest decisions of our lives. If only we could understand the consequences of this simple misunderstanding, we could avoid a lot of problems. But there are some common superficial sufferings. People afraid of abandonment make very bad decisions about their partners. They have no other option but to choose any partner, usually someone who comes to them, instead of the right partner. Someone who's not quite right or suitable, but acceptable. And over time, the not quite but suitable can turn into the completely wrong. Did y'all hear that? The not quite but suitable partner is acceptable in the dating season, but over time becomes the not quite but suitable, completely wrong in a married life. When we are terrified of abandonment, we do not feel in a position to affirm our needs within a relationship. And we are always at the mercy of those who fear loneliness less than we do. So let's do a short little assessment and we'll end for this evening. I see a lot of tears falling. I wish I was there with y'all. Got to do a retreat. Got to figure it out somehow. Suzanne, fix my life. while I'm fixing my own, right? What are the symptoms of abandonment syndrome? Y'all ready for an assessment? Let's do a mental health assessment. Let's go. The main symptoms of abandonment are strong feelings of anxiety due to separation. Strong feeling of anxiety due to separation. Yes or no? You can put yes or no, or you can work on a scale of 1 to 10. You can be a 5, you can be a 1, nah, a 10, definitely have this problem, or just do a yes and a no. Thank you, Kamisha. She got it up there. Go, girl. Y'all are dope. I think me and Ebony hit it at the wrong time. I'll mind my business, Ebony. Run the controls. One of the symptoms of abandonment is feeling insecure and unworthy of love. And what's so amazing about this, y'all, I wish that there was some way, and I know God's going to give me that way, that I can better explain to you how you can actually have these issues and stand on the ground that you don't. Because no one could have told me while I was insecure that I felt unworthy of love. No one could have told me that. But when I look back, most of the relationships that I had, I should have never had any kind of relationship because I was completely insecure and I did not feel worthy of love. And yet I kept dating and dating and dating. I was a serial dater. Is anybody a serial dater? I was a serial dater. I've had people say to me, God, you ever single? And to me, I was always single because they never turned out to be anything. But I always dated. Sometimes the dates ran over one another. Sometimes they were right after one another. I was a serial dater. And I'll stand on it to this day. I love dating. Dating is so fun to me. But, nothing comes out of them when they're not right. Number 3, y'all ready? Excessive sensitivity to criticism. Yes or no, or number the severity, 10 being the highest, the worst. Excessive sensitivity to criticism. We're at 57 minutes. Number 4, finding it hard to trust others. Do you find it hard to trust others? Yes or no, or on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. Finding it hard to make friends and have emotional intimacy. That doesn't mean sexual intimacy. Your friends need you emotionally available in those relationships. Finding it hard to make friends and have emotional intimacy. Adapting extreme measures to avoid rejection and abandonment. I'm praying for you, Elsie. I got you, Kamisha. Come on, y'all doing really good work today. Adapting extreme measures. Do you have some things that operate in your life that are automatic to avoid rejection and abandonment? Number 7, dysfunctional relationships. Dysfunctional relationships. Number 8, repressed anger and hardship in controlling impulses. Do you feel as though that you have anger that you have tucked away for a long time and you have controlling impulses due to that? Come on, I'm seeing your numbers. This is good. There's a small delay. So as soon as I see Kamisha post, that's when I know to go further. That was number 8. I think Kamisha's not there. There we go. Thank you, Minister Jerry. Number 9, hardship. Oh, wait a minute. Number 9, becoming attached quickly and detaching just as quickly. Sometimes people will say, I love hard. Loving hard is not a good thing, y'all. Most people who suffer with rejection love hard. They're trying to avoid the rejection, which they end up slowly sabotaging with their own hands. Proverbs 31, right? Proverbs, at least. Becoming attached quickly and detaching just as quickly. When people were in your life, it was strong, it was real, and then boom, they're out of there. Or maybe you even do it. Number 10, hardship in committing in a relationship, especially long-term relationships. You have few long-term relationships and you have a hard time, you have a hardship in committing in a relationship. They might think you're committed, but come on, I'm talking to you all tonight. This assessment is for you. That was number 10. Number 11, you do everything to please the other person. You do everything to please the other person. Yes or no, 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest. And then, there you go. Do everything to please the other person is number 11. Number 12, you blame yourself when things do not work out. And you're probably going to date a narcissist who never takes responsibility when things don't work out. And that's what makes the dysfunction work so well together, because the person with the fear of abandonment always takes responsibility for the relationship. And the person that they're cold with never takes responsibility. So it works so well in the worst ways. And the last one, number 13, you have a tendency of staying in the relationship even when you realize it's not healthy. I've got you, Kiera. Thank you, Kamisha. Yes, Elsie. Good evening, Cheryl. So next week, we'll pick up from here if y'all like. We're going to stay in boundaries a little bit more. I have a little bit more to give you all on boundaries at this level, but we're going to do another assessment next week, and we're going to do an assessment on the long-term effects of the fear of abandonment. And I want you to see if you find yourself in this, because if abandonment happened in childhood, what does it look like now? Because what you noted in childhood, I don't even remember my childhood. Don't we have people that say that? I don't remember my childhood. So I don't remember if they really adequately was emotionally attuned to me. I think they were. Hey, Ubi. So why don't you tell me what it looks like now in my adult life? We're going to do that next week. So I want you to tag a single friend. I want you to send this video in someone's inbox. Send it in their DM. If they're single, say, girl or sir, brother, friend, you got to listen to this. I want you to send it in their DM. Don't post it on their front page. Some people are not ready for that level of exposure and vulnerability. Send it to a couple people. Try 3 people that you know are single, or perhaps they're in a relationship and you felt them come up in your spirit while you were hearing this tonight. Send it to them. But most of all, make sure you apply it to yourself. So next week, we're going to do an assessment to determine, how do I know if I suffer from a fear of abandonment in my adult life today? How does it show up? I'm finished. My work here is done. I wish above all things that y'all prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Please, if you haven't done so already, go and subscribe on YouTube. I need the subscribers. I need it. And make a comment. The comments help up so much. Hey, Super Joe, the comments help so much. So go to YouTube, hit subscribe. put a little comment in there. Either, when you're watching the video, just type your comments. And that's what Ree Chambers does. Oh, this was good. I like this part. Oh, I need to work on that. She just used the comments as her little notebook. It all works together for us to make this work go out into the nations and help to reach other men and women like us. That's it. I love y'all. If you want to give, sewing is on the screen. You can always visit me on the website, www.suzannemhoward.com. It has everything in there you need to get in touch with us, to get in touch with me. If you're serious about pursuing a session, start with a discovery session. Let's chat. Let's find out if we want to work on abandonment, if we want to work on codependency, if we want to get you back to your authentic self. But stick with me. We got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to be here with you again on next Sunday at 7 p.m. All right? Grace and peace. God bless you, and good night. Let it out.